Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. So in today's class, we will do some problems based on relations and functions, and the problems are NCRT exemplar. So let us start. The images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using generative AI, which is experimental. So let us start. NCRT Exemplar Exercise 1.3. Short answer type questions. So let us start with question number 1. Question number 1 says let A be a set having elements 1 A B C, right? And the relation R be defined on A as follows. Relation R is A B C A B, right? Then write the minimum number of ordered pairs to be added in R to make R reflexive and transitive, right? See, we have a relation R which is BC and AB, right? So we have to add number of ordered like how many ordered pairs we will add to R in such a way that R becomes reflexive and transitive, right? R becomes reflexive and transitive. Got it? So how can we approach this question? See, in this question, we first need to know what is reflexive relation and what is transitive relation, right? So for reflexive relation, we know that for reflexive, what is the condition? Condition is AA belongs to R for all A belongs to A. Got it? So this is basically the condition for reflexive. Every element for every element in set A, there must be all the elements like AA which belongs to R, right? A means suppose set A has three elements A, small b, and small c. Then BB, and CC must lie in the relation R, right? To make the relation reflexive. To must lie in the relation R to satisfy the condition of reflexivity. Got it? Similarly, we have to make the relations transitive also. So, what is the condition of transitivity? Transitive relation says that if AB belongs to R, if AB belongs to R and BC belongs to R, right? If AB belongs to R and BC belongs to R, this imply AC will belongs to R, right? So if this condition will be satisfied, then we can say that the relation is transitive relation. Got it? So for our question, these two conditions, reflexive and transitive relations, should be satisfied. Okay. Okay. So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let us move to the solution part. The question was we had a set A having elements A, B, C, and the relation R be defined on set A as follows. R is AA, BC, and AB. Then we have to write the minimum number of ordered pairs to be added in R to make R reflexive and transitive. Got it? So the solution is, here we can say that R is given as AA, BC, and AB, right? For reflexivity, we have to add BB and CC, right? Because for every element in A, which is ABC, there must occur AA, BB, and CC. AA is already there, right? So we need to add BB and CC. Got it? To make the relation reflexive. Got it? So we have to add BB and CC. And for transitivity, we have to add AC, right? For transitivity, we have to add AC. Okay, lovely, Polai. What is doubt? If you have any doubt while teaching, you can ask in the chat box. Okay. See, for reflexivity, we must have to add BB and CC because AA is already present. Now, the relation R becomes AA, BB, right? CC. Got it? BC and AB. Now, see, you can see that BC is lying, right? BC belongs to AB belongs to R, right? AB belongs to R, right? And BC belongs to R. BC belongs to R. AB belongs to R and BC belongs to R. So to make this relation transitive, there must lie AC must belongs to R, right? But AC is not there in the set R, right? So we must add the ordered pair AC. Got it? So we have to add ordered pair AC also to make the relation transitive. Got it? So how much minimum number of ordered pairs we have added? We have added BB, CC, and AC. Right? Three ordered pairs we have added. Got it? Hence, the required ordered pairs which we have added are BB, CC, and AC. Therefore, three ordered pairs need to be added. See, what are the conditions for transitive relation? We have explained that if AB belongs to R, AB belongs to R, and BC belongs to R, right? AB belongs to R and BC belongs to R. This imply AC must belongs to R, right? This imply AC must belongs to R. Got it? This is the condition of transitivity. Okay. Hence, the required ordered pairs are BB, CC, and AC. Got it? And we must add minimum three ordered pairs to make the relation reflexive and transitive. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the next question. Question number 2 says, let D be the domain of the real valued function f defined by fx is equal to root over 25 minus x square. Then write D. We basically have to find the domain of this function fx. Right? What is domain? Domain is the values of x which we will put. Right? Okay. So for the if a function is square root of something fx, right? Then fx must be greater than equal to 0. Got it? Clear? Fx must be greater than equal to 0. So we will write the function inside a square root. We can write it as 25 minus x square greater than equal to 0. Right? And by using this, we can easily find the range of range in which x will lie to satisfy the given fx. Right? Okay. So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The question was let D be the domain of the real valued function f defined by fx is equal to root over 25 minus x square. Then D is, we basically have to find D domain. So let's move to the solution part. Here fx is given as root over 25 minus x square. Right? Fx is given as root over 25 minus x square. So for real value of fx, 25 minus x square will be greater than equal to 0 always, right? 25 minus x square should always be greater than equal to 0. Got it? So by solving this, we can say that minus of x square will be greater than equal to minus 25. Now we have multiplied with negative sign both the sides, therefore inequality will reverse. Therefore x square less than equal to 25, right? X square will be less than equal to 25. So if x square is less than equal to 25, then we can say that x is between minus 5 to 5, right? X is between minus 5 to 5, right? You can see this by using sign convention of number line. X square minus 25 should be less than equal to 0. This imply x plus 5 into x minus 5 will be less than equal to 0. So what will be the roots? Negative 5 and 5. If you put any value in the function which is greater than 5, it should be positive, negative, positive, right? Now we have to find the function. We have to find the range in which function is less than equal to 0. So we can see that from minus 5 to 5, x belongs to minus 5 to 5, function is less than equal to 0, right? Okay. So x will be between minus 5 to 5. Hence, domain D is x belongs to minus 5 to 5, or we can write minus 5 to 5, closed bracket, right? Why it is closed bracket? Because 25 minus x square greater than equal to 0. It might be 0 also, right? Clear? Therefore, minus 5 to 5 is the right answer, okay? Okay, let's move to the next question. Question number 3 says, let fg R to R be defined by, there are two functions f and g from R to R, and it is defined by fx is equal to 2x plus 1 and gx is equal to x square minus 2 for all x belongs to real respectively. Got it? Then we basically have to find the GOF, right? GOF. What is meaning of GOF? GOF is G of fx, right? GOF is basically G of fx. Got it? So we basically have to find the value of G of fx, right? Okay. So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let us move to the solution part. The question was, let there was two function, there is two function f and g from R to R be defined by fx is equal to 2x plus 1 and gx is equal to x square minus 2 for all x belongs to real respectively. Got it? Then we basically have to find the value of GOF, right? G of fx. We have to find G of fx. So let us move to the solution part. Here fx is 2x plus 1 and gx is x square minus 2, right? Fx is 2x plus 1 and gx is x square minus 2. So g of f, GOF can be written as G of fx, right? G of fx, right? So we can write it as, in the function g, in place of x, we will write fx, right? In the function g, in place of x, we will write fx. Fx is 2x minus 1. So we can, in the place of x, we can write 2x plus 1 whole square minus 2. After solving this, we will get g of fx is equal to 4x square plus 4x plus 1 minus 2, right? 4x square plus 4x plus 1 minus 2, which is equal to 4x square plus 4x minus 1. Hence, g of fx is 4x square plus 4x minus 1, right? See, minus 2 is, देखिए gx क्या है, x square minus 2. Gx is x square minus 2. Gx is x square minus 2. We basically have to find g of fx, right? We basically have to find g of fx. Got it? So in place of fx, we will write 2x plus 1, right? In place of fx, we will write 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1 whole square minus 2, right? In place of x, we have put 2x plus 1 whole square minus 2, right? Got it? So after solving this, you will get g of f x is equal to 4x square plus 4x minus 1, right? G of fx is equal to 4x square plus 4x minus 1 will be the right answer. Okay. Okay. GOF, you didn't understand GOFC. GOF is basically GOF is basically G of fx, right? G of fx. Got it? So in suppose if we have gx as x square plus 2, so g of fx in place of x you will write fx, right? Fx whole square plus 2. Got it? This is g of fx. Got it? So g of fx will be fx square plus 2. Got it? Okay. Now let's move to the next question. Next question is question number 4, which says let f r to r be the function defined by fx is equal to 2x minus 3 for all x belongs to real. We basically have to find f inverse, right? We have to find f inverse, right? So what is the condition to find f inverse, right? You can replace y with x and x with y, right? Y with x and y with x with y, and solve for x in terms of y. Solve for x in terms of y, and after getting the value of x in terms of y, you can finally replace another time x with y and y with x, right? This is the procedure to find f inverse. We will see this, right? Okay, you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The question was let f r to r be the function defined by fx is equal to 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3 for all x belongs to real. We basically have to find f inverse. So let's move to the solution part. Here fx is 2x minus 3, right? Fx is 2x minus 3. Let fx is equal to y. Let us assume fx equal to y and y is equal to 2x minus 3. So what we have to do, we basically have to solve for x in terms of y. So we can write y plus 3 is equal to 2x, right? Y plus 3 equal to 2x. So we can find x is equal to y plus 3 by 2. Now we have found x in terms of y, right? We have found x in terms of y. Now we will replace x with y and y with x again. Therefore, f inverse y is basically y plus 3 by 2, or f inverse x will be equal to x plus 3 by 2, right? F inverse x will be equal to x plus 3 by 2. Clear? So this is basically the f inverse. F inverse x is x plus 3 by 2. Okay. Okay, let us move to the next question. This question says, question number 5, if set A having elements A, B, C, D, and set F having elements in the ordered pair as A, B, B, D, C, A, D, C, then we basically have to write F inverse. What will be the F inverse, right? So we have already seen that in the F inverse, domain becomes range and range becomes domain, right? Domain becomes range and range becomes domain, right? So x and y, you will interchange x and y in F inverse, right? Whatever will be x in F will be the y in F inverse. Got it? Clear? So suppose F and F inverse, x will become y and y will become x. Got it? This is the F inverse. Okay? Okay. So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay? Okay, let us move to the solution part. The question was, let if A is a set having elements A, B, C, D, and the function f is defined as A, B, B, D, C, A, D, C, then we have to basically write f inverse, right? So let's move to the solution. Let y is equal to fx. Then what will be x? X will be f inverse y, right? If f is defined as A, B, B, D, C, A, and D, C, then f inverse will be C. Here domain is A and range is B, right? By putting the value of A, we will find the value of B. Therefore, for f inverse, domain will be B and range will be A, right? So AB will become BA, BD will become DB, CA will become AC, and DC will become CD. Got it? Therefore, we can find easily the value of f inverse as BA, DB, AC, and CD, right? Okay, so this will be the f inverse. Okay, let's move to the next question. Next question is question number 6, which says, if f is defined from R to R is defined by fx is equal to x square minus 3x plus 2, we have to write f of fx, right? F of fx. Clear? So what we can do, fx is this. What is f of fx? F of fx is, see, fx is given, right? Fx is given. So in place of x, you just have to put fx, right? In place of f, you have to just put fx. So you can write fx square minus 3 fx, right, plus 2. So what we have done, we basically have to do, we basically have done, we basically have put the value of fx in place of x, because we have to find f of fx, right, in place of f of x. Now we know the value of fx as x square minus 3x plus 2. So you will put the value of fx here and fx here, right? And after solving this, you can easily find the value of f of fx. Got it? Okay. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The question says, if f is from R to R is defined by fx is equal to x square minus 3x plus 2, we have to write f of fx, right? So solution is, here fx is equal to x square minus 3x plus 2. Fx is basically x square minus 3x plus 2. Therefore, f of fx is fx square minus 3 of fx plus 2, right? F of fx is fx square minus 3fx plus 2. So now let's put the value of fx. So fx is x square minus 3x plus 2. So we will put the value of fx here, which is x square minus 3x plus 2 whole square minus 3 times x square minus 3x plus 2, right? Now after solving this, see, this is a plus b plus c whole square. It will be x to the power 4 plus 9x square plus 4 minus 6x cube minus 6x cube. This 6x cube is 2 times x square into minus 3x, right? So this is becoming minus 6x cube, right? Similarly, this 4x square is basically 2 times x square times 2. Got it? This is 4x square. Similarly, this 12x is basically 2 times 2 times minus 3x into 2. This is minus 12x minus 3x square plus 9x minus 6 plus 2. All right. Now after solving this and simplifying this, you will get x to the power 4 minus 6x cube plus 10x square minus 3x, right? Hence, f of fx we got is x to the power 4 minus 6x cube plus 10x square minus 3x, right? This will be the f of fx, right? Okay. Let us move to the next question. This question says, if G is defined as, G is a relation defined as 1 1 2 2 3 4 3 5 and 4 7, a function. Is this relation a function? We have to find. If G is described by Gx is equal to alpha x plus beta, then what value should be assigned to alpha and beta? right? First we need to check whether the relation G defined is function or not. And if G is described by Gx is equal to alpha x plus beta, then we basically have to find the value of alpha and beta. So what are the conditions for a relation to become function? The condition is for each for each element in domain, there must be unique element in the range. There must be unique image, right? Image, right? For each element in the domain, there must be unique image. So you can mark uh, this statement each and unique. Each and unique must be satisfied, right? So for each element, there must be a unique image. Then we can say that the given relation is a function, right? Okay. So in this way, you can try to think about this question. After that, after 10 seconds, we will discuss the solution of this question. Okay, let us move to the solution of this question. The question is G a function? G is 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 4, 7. And if G is described as Gx is equal to alpha x plus beta, then what value should be assigned to alpha and beta, right? Let us move to the solution part. So yes, G is a function. Why? Why G is a function? See, why G is function? Suppose you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So for every element in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 7. See, 1 is related to 1, 2 is related to 3, 3 is related to 5, and 4 is related to 7. So for each element in the domain, there must be a unique pre-image, right? So for each element 1, 2, 3, 4 in the domain, there is a unique pre-image, that is 1, 3, 5, 7. Therefore, we can say that G is a function, right? Got it? Now Gx is defined as alpha x plus beta. Gx is defined as alpha x plus beta. Got it? So for 1, 1, we can put G1 will be alpha into 1 plus beta. We have put the value of 1 in the x and 1 in the range domain and range, right? So G1 is given as 1. So 1 is equal to alpha plus beta, right? Next for 2, 3, G2 is 2 alpha plus beta, right? So G2 is basically 3. G2 is 3. Got it? So 3 is equal to 2 alpha plus beta. Solving equation 1 and 2. This equation and this equation, when we will solve, we will get alpha is equal to 2 and beta is equal to negative 1, right? Alpha is equal to 2 and beta is equal to negative 1. Not 1, it is negative 1, right? Because see, if you will say beta is equal to 1, then this will not satisfy because 2 plus 1 is 3, not 1, right? So alpha is equal to 2 and beta will be equal to negative 1. Clear? Then only these two conditions will be satisfied, okay? Okay, let's move to the next question. Okay, the next question says, are the following set of ordered pairs functions? We have two ordered pairs, right? We have to define whether the given relation is a function or not. If so, examine whether the mapping is injective or surjective, right? Got it? So first you will apply the condition of functions for a relation to become function. What is the condition? For each element in the set in the domain, there must be a unique image in the codomain, right? Then only it will be a function. Now for injectivity and surjectivity, right? Injective means 1, 1 and surjective means on 2, right? So what is the condition of 1 1 or injective? 1 1 or injective? What is the condition? That means for each element there is only one image, right? For each element there is only one image, right? Got it? So if f of x1 is equal to f of x2, this imply x1 will be equal to x2. Then only it will be 1 1. And for onto or surjective, what is the condition? The codomain is should be equal to range. Got it? So first we have to define whether the given two relation is the function or not, right? And after that, using these two conditions, we have to define whether these two relations are 1 1 or onto, right? Okay, you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let us move to the solution part. The question is, are the following sets ordered pairs function? If so, examine whether the mapping is injective or surjective. And the relation is xy such that x is a person and y is mother of x. And second is ab such that a is a person and b is ancestor of a. Right. So let us move to the solution. Now it represents a function y. The image of distinct element of x under f are not distinct, right? Not distinct. So it is not injective, but it is surjective. For one, why? See, function x is a person. Suppose x is a person, and y is the mother of x. Y is the mother of x. Y is the mother of x, right? So for each, like for each value of x, there can be one mother, right? There can be one mother, right? Okay, clear. But the reverse is not true, right? So it represents a function, right? Because one can be mother of two person, right? Because you might have siblings, right? Your sibling's mother will be your mother also, right? Got it? So this is a function. Now the image of distinct element of x under f is not distinct. Suppose a b c d. Got it? A b c d and a b c. So a can be mother of a b and c, right? Because a b c might be sibling, right? So a can be mother of a b c, right? Therefore it is not 1 1 or injective, because, right? But it is a function, because for each element there is a unique image, right? There is a unique image. Got it? It is function, but it is not 1 1 function, but it is onto function. It is onto function because codomain is equal to range. Clear? Codomain is equal to range, right? Codomain should be equal to range, then it is function. It is surjective function. Okay. Now for second, a is a person and b is ancestors, right? So it does not represent a function, right? It does not represent a function. Why is it is not representing a function? As every domain under mapping does not have a unique image, right? Does not have a unique image. Because suppose a b c d and a b c d. Got it? So for this relation to become function, for each element in set a there must be a unique element in set b, right? So two persons can be ancestor of same person, right? So A's ancestor can be A also, A's ancestor can be B also, right? A's ancestor can be C also, right? Clear? Therefore, for each element, there is not unique image, right? There is, for each element A, there is not unique image. There might be more than one image, right? There might be more than one image. Got it? So it is not function. Okay. So if it is not function, then there is no question of injectivity or surjectivity, right? For injective or surjective, first it has to become a function, right? It is not a function, right? So there is no question of surjective or injective things, right? Okay, let's move to the next question. Question number 9 says if the mapping f and g are given by f 1 1 2 3 5 4 1. F is a function 1 2 3 5 4 1, and g is defined as 2 3 5 1 and 1 3. We have to write f of g, right? We have seen what is f of g. We have already seen what is f of g. F of g is f of gx, right? F of g is basically f of gx. Okay, clear? So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The question says if the mapping f and g are given by f 1 2 3 5 4 1 and g 2 3 5 1 and 1 3, we have to write f of g. So let's move to the solution part. F of g can be written as f of gx. Therefore, f of g2, g2 is what is g2? G2 is basically 3, right? G2 is 3. So f of G2 is f of 3. And what is f of 3? F of 3 is 5, right? Therefore, f of G2 is 5. Got it? Next, f of G5. F of G5. G5. F of G5. What is G5? G5 is 1, right? So f of G, in place of G5, we can write 1. So G5 is equal to f of 1. Now, what is f of 1? F of 1 is 2, right? Therefore, f of G5 will be equal to 2, right? F of G5 will be equal to 2, right? Now f of G1, f of G1. What is G1? G1 is equal to 3. G1 is equal to 3, right? So in place of G1, we can write 3. So we have to basically find the value of f of 3. Now you can see that f of 3 is 5, right? F of 3 is 5. Okay. Hence f of G is basically 2 5, 5 2, and 1 5, right? For 2 it is 5, for 5 it is 2, and for 1 it is 5, right? Therefore 2 5, 5 2, and 1 5. Okay. Okay, let us move to the next question, which says question number 10 says, let C be the set of complex numbers. Prove that mapping f from C to R given by fz is equal to mod z for all z belongs to C is neither 1 1 nor on 2. We basically have to prove this, prove that the function defined by fz is equal to mod z is neither 1 1 nor on 2. So you know the conditions of 1 1 and on 2, right? You know the condition of 1 1 and on 2. Clear? So for 1 1, it should be for 1 1. What should be the condition? If f of x1 is equal to f of x2, then this imply x1 should be equal to x2, right? This is for 1 1. And for on 2, codomain should be equal to range, right? Codomain should be equal to range, right? So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The question says let C be the set of complex numbers. Prove that the mapping f from C to R given by fz is equal to mod z for all z belongs to C is neither 1 1 nor onto. So let's move to the solution part. Here f1 is equal to mod 1, which is equal to 1, and f of minus 1 is equal to mod of minus 1, which is also equal to 1. So it cannot be 1 1, right? For two elements, for 1 also, for minus 1 also, we are getting 1, same thing. So it cannot be 1 1, right? So f of 1 is equal to f of minus 1. Here fz is equal to mod z, therefore fz is equal to mod z for all z belongs to C, right? Which is complex number. f1 is equal to mod 1 is equal to 1. F of minus 1 is equal to mod of minus of mod 1 is equal to 1. F1 is equal to minus 1. F of 1 is equal to f of minus 1, right? But 1 is not equal to minus 1, right? 1 is not equal to minus 1. Therefore, it is not 1 1, right? So function is not 1 1. It is not 1 1 mapping, right? Now let fz is equal to y is equal to mod z. Here there is no pre-image of negative numbers, right? So codomain is not equal to range. Here codomain says that it should be all real number, but range is, what is range of mod z? Range of mod z is basically all positive values, right? Z belongs to 0 to infinity, right? Not z belongs to, that is range is equal to mod z belongs to, mod z will always belongs to 0 to infinity, right? Clear? So codomain is not equal to range. Hence, the function, the given mapping is not neither 1 1 nor onto, right? Okay, let's move to the next question. The next question says, let the function f be defined as from R to R be defined by fx is equal to cos x for all x belongs to real. We have to show that f is neither 1 1 nor onto, right? So from R to R, we have to show that it is neither 1 1 nor onto, right? So again, we know the condition for 1 1 and onto. For 1 1, if f of x1 is equal to f of x2, this implies x1 should be equal to x2 only, right? For 1 1, got it? And for onto, codomain is equal to range, right? Codomain should be equal to range for onto. So by using these two conditions, you have to find whether the given function fx equal to cos x from R to R is 1 1 is like 1 1 or onto, or neither 1 1 nor onto, like that, right? So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The question says, let the function f is from R to R defined by fx equal to cos x for all x belongs to real. We have to show that f is neither 1 1 nor onto, right? So let's move to the solution part. Here fx is equal to cos x for all x belongs to real, right? Fx is equal to cos x for all x belongs to real. Let like minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 belongs to fx. Now we know that f of minus pi by 2, which is cos of minus pi by 2, is equal to cos of pi by 2 is equal to 0, right? Cos of pi by 2 is 0. We know that. And cos of pi by 2 is equal to cos of pi by 2 is equal to 0 again. So f of minus pi by 2 is equal to f of pi by 2 is equal to 0. Clear? F of minus pi by 2 will be equal to f of pi by 2 will be equal to 0, right? But minus pi by 2 will not be equal to pi by 2, right? Minus pi by 2 is not equal to pi by 2. Therefore, the given function is not 1 1. Also, it is not onto function as no pre-image of any real number belongs to the range of cos x, right? Clear? No because no pre-image of any real number belongs to the range of cos x. That is, see, cos x is only defined in minus 1 to 1, right? But here codomain is given as real, but range is minus 1 to 1. So codomain is not equal to range. Codomain not equal to range. right? Codomain is not equal to range, so we cannot say that the given function is onto function, right? So this function is neither one nor onto, right? Neither one nor onto. Okay, let's move to the next question. This question says, question number 12 says, let set x be defined as 1 to 3, elements are 1 to 3, and set y is defined as 4 5. Find whether the following subsets of x into y are functions from x to y or not. We basically have to find that the subset of x into y, the following subsets of x into y are functions from x to y or not. Again, we know the condition of a relation to become function is, for each element in x there must be a unique element in y, right? For each element in x there must be a unique element in y. Clear? So by using this concept you can easily find whether the given relation is function or not, right? Okay, so you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let us move to the solution part. So we are given a begin question, set x as 1 to 3 and set y as 4 to 5, 4 and 5. Now we have to make subsets of x into y, and these are given subsets. We basically have to find the given relation is function or not, right? So here is the solution. The first relation is defined as, it is given that x is 1 to 3 and y is 4 5, right? So x into y we can define easily as 1 4, 1 5, 2 4, 2 5, 3 4 and 3 5, right? Now see, these four relations are given as subset of x into y. Clear? And we basically have to check whether these four functions are these four relations are function or not, right? So for one, for each element, see what are the each element in x, 1 2 and 3. So for all the elements, that is 1 2 and 3, there must be an image, there must be an image in the relation, right? So you have seen that, see, for one, for each element there must be a unique image, right? But see, so 1 4 1 5 2 4 3 5. So for each element, that is for one there is two image, right? But so image is not unique here, right? Image is not unique here. Got it? For one there are two images, 4 and 5. So it is not function, obviously. Clear? F is not function because there is no unique image of each element of the domain under F. Because, right? Because for one there are two images, 4 and 5. Got it? So there must be unique image. Got it? So now for two, second case, G is 1 4 2 4 3 4. 1 4 2 4 3 4. Now for each element there must be unique image. Now for each element, see, elements in X are 1 to 3. So for each element 1 2 3 there are unique image, right? Clear? Yes, G is a function because each element of its domain has unique image, right? Unique image. Got it? Okay. Let's move to the third part. Third part is H is 1 4 2 5 and 3 5. So H is 1 4 2 5 and 3 5. See, for each element 1, 2 and 3 there is a unique image, right? Got it? Yes, it is a function because each element of its domain has a unique image. Therefore, it is a function. Fourth, 1 4 and 2 5. See, for each element, 1 has image 4, 2 has image 5, but 3 does not have any image, right? So it contradicts the definition of function, right? So fourth part is not function at all. Clearly, k is not function from x to y because there is no image of 3. right? In this relation, right? There is no image of 3 in this relation is present. Therefore, it is not a function. Got it? It is not a function. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the next question. Next question says, it is question number 13, which says if function f from a to b, if function f from a to b and g from b to a satisfy g of f is equal to ia, ia means identity function, then show that f is 1 1 and g is on 2, right? So we know the condition of 1 1 and 2 on 2. So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let us move to the solution part. If function f a to b and g b to a satisfy g of f is equal to ia, then we have to show that the given show that f is 1 1 and g is on 2, right? F is 1 1 and g is on 2, right? So let's move to the solution part. Here we have f. Here we have f as a to b and g as b to a satisfy g of f is equal to ia, right? G of f is equal to ia. So g can be written as f inverse. G is equal to f inverse. And f inverse equal to g. G is equal to f inverse and f inverse is equal to g. Got it? Since g is the inverse of f, right? G is inverse of f. Got it? F is 1 1 and on 2 because its inverse exists, right? See, inverse will only exist when the function is bijective, right? Bijective means both 1 1 and on 2. Here inverse is existing, so f is 1 1 and on 2, right? Right? Because its inverse is existing. Hence, g is also 1 1 and on 2. Clear? So f is both 1 1 and 2 and g is also both 1 1 and on 2, right? Then we have also already shown that f is 1 1 and g is on 2. Got it? Okay, let's move to the next question. This question says, let f from R to R be the function defined by fx is equal to 1 by 2 minus cos x for all x belongs to real. Then find the range of f. We have to find the range of f, right? So we know that cos x always lies between minus 1 to 1, right? Cos x always lies between minus 1 to 1. We can use this information to find the range of this function, okay? You have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. The function defined by fx is equal to 1 by 2 minus x, right? Then we have to find range of f. So here it is solution. Given function is fx equal to 1 by 2 minus cos x for all x belongs to real, right? Range of cos x is minus 1 to 1. We know that. So fx equal to y is equal to 1 upon 2 minus cos x. So by using cross multiplication, we can find that 2y minus y cos x is equal to 1. So y cos x is equal to 2y minus 1. Therefore, cos x is equal to 2y minus 1 upon y. So it can be further simplified as 2 minus 1 by y, right? 2 minus 1 by y, okay? So now we know that cos x is between minus 1 to 1. So 2 minus 1 by y should be between minus 1 to 1. So minus 1 by y will be become, we will subtract minus to both the sides. So we will get minus 1 minus 2 and 1 minus 2. So minus 1 by y will lie between minus 3 to minus 1. So 1 by y will lie between 3 to 1. will lie between 1 to 3, right? Greater than 1 and less than 3. Therefore, y will lie between 1 by 3 to 1. Clear? So this is basically the range of the function. Got it? Because we have assumed y is equal to fx. So range of fx is between 1 by 3 to 1. Got it? Hence range of f is between 1 by 3 to 1. Okay? Clear? Okay, let's move to the next question. Right. The question says let n be a fixed positive integer. Define a relation R in Z as follows. We have to define a relation R in Z as follows. For all A, B belongs to Z. If A related to B, if and only if A minus B is divisible by N, show that R is an equivalence relation, right? We basically have to show that R is an equivalence relation. And what are the conditions of equivalence relations? For equivalence relation, the relation should be reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. All the three conditions should be satisfied, right? Then we can say that the function is equivalence. The relation is equivalence relation. Okay. So you have 10 seconds to solve or think about this question. After that, we will discuss the solution part. Okay, let's move to the solution part. So we have n be a positive, fixed positive integer. We have defined the relation R in Z as follows. For all A, B belongs to Z, A related to B if and only if A minus B is divisible by N, right? So we basically have to show that R is an equivalence relation, right? So here we can say that AB belongs to Z and A related to B if and only if A minus B is divisible by N, right? So given relation is equivalence, we know that given relation is equivalence if it is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, right? So for reflexivity, we know that A must be related to A itself, right? So A minus B is 0 and 0 is divisible by N. We know that, right? 0 is divisible by N. We know that. So the function will be reflexive, okay? Now for the relation R will be the reflexive relation, okay? Now for symmetric, if A related to B, then B must be related to A. For all A, B belongs to Z, right? So A minus B is divisible by N. It is given that, right? If A minus B is divisible by N, then B minus A will also be divisible by N, right? Clear? So minus of B minus A is divisible by N, right? So so B minus A will be divisible by N, right? So A related to B, therefore we have proved that B is also related to A. Hence the relation is symmetric also. Got it? Hence relation R is symmetric. Clear? Now let us see whether it is it is transitive relation or not. Because for equivalence relation, we need to check whether it is symmetric, reflexive, and transitive. So for transitive, if A related to B and B related to C, this imply A must be related to C. For all A, B, C belongs to Z. So A minus B is divisible by N. We know that. And B minus C is also divisible by N, right? So if A minus B is divisible by N, B minus C is divisible by N, therefore, by adding this, if suppose this function is divisible by N, this function is divisible by N, so when we will add these two, it will also be divisible by N, right? Therefore, A minus B plus B minus C is divisible by N, right? So by solving this, B and minus B will cancel out. So A minus C is divisible by N, right? So A related to B and B related to C, this imply A related to C. Got it? Hence it is transitive also. Hence R is transitive, okay? So R is an equivalence relation. Got it? Okay. Let's keep today's class till here. Okay. Thank you so much.